So, listeners, I'm Andrew Stewart. We're coming to you today with Louis Proyect, the unrepentant Marxist, and we are viewing the film Hero. It was released at the start of the new millennium by the Miramax company with the high backing of Quentin Tarantino. And it will be a fascinating conversation where we will shit talk basically everything and everyone possible in our imagination. So Louis, let's start off with what your background is as a film critic and as a Marxist.
Well, let me start off in terms of film criticism. You have to understand that I had been reviewing Asian films, both from China, from China, Japan, and Hong Kong, for years before this film came out, the Hero. I was, I would attend Hong Kong film festivals in New York. I forgot the guy's name, but he was a director. Came to Hollywood eventually. Made some pretty good movies, but it was all about policiers, all about the guys going undercover, and there would be gun battles. That was the Hong Kong genre, and then also I would be reviewing films about the classic films about a kung fu master. For example, I think the title of the film was starred Jackie Chan, called was it Drunken? No, it wasn't Drunken Kung Fu. It was a Drunken something.
Drunken Master or something. I remember.
Yeah, it's a great film. Just loved it. And then next to Jackie Chan, my favorite was Jet Li. Okay, so both these guys were tremendous. They were like Buster Keaton. They had incredible acrobatic feats, and most of the sword play and most of the the fighting was done without special effects. Okay, and so I didn't really know what to expect of Hero. Okay, because it was starring Jet Li, one of my favorites. Okay, and when I watched it, I kept thinking, what the hell is this? What the hell? I mean, what I say is something like, all the characters are never on the ground; they're all flying through the air. I said, what the hell? Well, how does this show the ability, the acrobatic ability of these great actors? It's like I said, likened to a Chagall painting where all the Jews are flying over the house, and playing violins and stuff. So the film had no visceral impact. You never felt for a minute that it was, something that that really mattered. It was like watching an opera or something, except no singing, and it was just, I just said something's very wrong. And the thing that surprised me most of all was the director, I believe Zhang Yimou, is his name, I believe. Anyhow, I had seen one of his films before, maybe another one, but he made a film called Not One Less, which is a great film. Great film. I don't remember how many years it came before Hero, but it was about a 13-year-old girl who becomes a substitute teacher in a countryside school that how does a 13-year-old girl teach a class of like 8-year-olds or 9-year-olds, whatever they were? But she does it tremendously. She just what she does basically is care about the students, care about their class interests, and confronts the local administrative bureaucracy to demand that the school get funded. And one of the students goes off to work, a 9-year-old, because the family needs. I don't even remember what the kid did. And it was the films he made around that time were part of a a tendency in Chinese film to identify with the people who were becoming part of what's the word that Marx uses when the peasants are driven off the farms?
Proletarianized?
No. Accumulation, primitive accumulation. The Chinese are going through a primitive accumulation. These poor peasants would go to the city, and so these villagers were the kind of people who would, eventually pushed off their land. And so then the next thing I know, watching Hero, what it's about the consolidation of China into what became an empire, in effect. The emperor who's sitting up on a throne and you can't get near him. What he wants to do is he's always been fighting with I guess it's either six. There might be seven separate. I don't know what you call them, states, because this is like pre-capitalist society, So
Principalities.
Principalities, that's right, principalities. So what he's trying to do is defeat them militarily, and so Jet Li, unless he's dancing around like a figure in a Chagall painting, he's sitting in front of the emperor, trying to persuade him that he should lead his army because he had defeated the six contenders. And what you find out is that what he was his original plan was to get close enough to the emperor, because the only way you could kill him is by getting within 10 feet. And it was so obvious to me that this film, which was just had no class content and was just the kind of crap. What's the film called? Crouching Dragon or Crouching Tiger or whatever it is?
Yeah.
It was like an imitation of that film, whereas Ang Lee was really in the business of copying from the original. But the imitation of an imitation wasn't half as good as the films that preceded it. Mm-hmm. Some of these films are just, the original Chinese films about battles from, like 500 AD or early days of the Chinese Empire, are just magnificent, Right. And also the sword fighting was tremendously realistic, and the battles on the field were also great. So for me, it was a big letdown. And then I said, well, what the hell's up with Zhang Yimou? And then I do a little bit of reading. I find out that he basically what had been just almost like Stalin and Eisenstein. He'd been pressured into making conventional films that would appeal to the American marketplace. The Uyghurs were like caught between two major powers, the Soviet Union and nationalist China. And from 1917 onwards, the Uyghurs were mostly aligned with the Soviet Union. Okay, and even though Stalin was by no means a friend of the Muslim region to to the south of Russia, there was a point at I forget, I can't remember the exact date, but I think it might have been during World War II, where they created basically what amounted to the Socialist Republic of Uyghurstan, for lack of a better name. The books, Uyghur books books were translated into Uyghur with support from the Soviet Union, and leading Uyghur nationalists identified with the Soviet Union. In fact, the first occurrence of a celebration of the October Revolution was not in Finland or any place else. It was in East Turkestan. There was a natural affinity for a country that would allow people like the Uyghurs, who had suffered for they became a colony in effect, not in effect, they became a colony of China in 1750. And so just like the Kazakhstan, which used to be called West Turkestan, and all these other Muslim Turkic-speaking republics became part of the Soviet Union they were liberated. They really were liberated. And even long after Stalin became, as Lenin put in his testament, rude and should have been removed as party secretary, the institutions of years of the Russian Revolution were maintained. And what happened is the problem is that even though China was, there was a revolution against the nationalists, okay, which culminated in a victory in 1949, the Soviet Union and China still had, how should I put it, bilateral relations that sometimes were very good and sometimes were not good at all. So when they were very good, the Uyghurs lost because they were sacrificed. Okay, but when they were bad, the USSR tended to provide arms, to provide material aid, to provide economic support for the Uyghurs.
One of the kind of ironic contradictions that jumps out at me at rocket speed, but doesn't seem to occur to anyone else, is that China openly boasts about building a middle class and the Chinese dream, which is pretty much Dwight Eisenhower. You always get as a booster from the AFL-CIO leadership in America, they're always boasting, we created the middle class. We created the middle class. And when I hear Xi Jinping, an apologist for China, saying, China is creating a middle class, it's like, okay, so maybe there's not as much democracy and it may not be Keynesian per se, but it's pretty damn close in terms of the politics.
There's always going to be memories of what the revolution was supposed to be about. And I think it reminds me of, there was also the article about the laying down phenomena where kids are also dropping out and living like hippies, because it's if China was like the United States in the 50s, which also had spectacular growth, there comes a point where people begin to question the values of the society they're living in, and maybe just want a different way of living. And China, the only thing that matters is economic growth, and it's what'll happen. What happens is that economic growth globally, in places like India as well, will destroy the possibility of life on Earth at some point. Maybe
right.
Not in 20 years, but certainly in 200. I just don't see this way of living to go past 200 years from now.